Yes, hi, Mr. Bale. This is Burns Reviews. I just wanted to let you know they're making an American Psycho remake.
Just say no! Sounding so fucking sad! Jesus!
Can't blame them. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Burns Reviews. My name is John. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe. Today we're talking about casting news for the American Psycho remake. They actually decided to remake this movie, so we're going to talk about it. And they just announced that it's going to be Patrick Bateman, played by Austin Butler. Now, I got a lot of notes on that. I personally think, if you ever followed me on Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, be sure to do it right here, Burns Reviews right there. It's kind of like my primary social, really. I don't really use X, Twitter that much. I'm pretty much always on the gram, because I'm just that way, apparently. I'm a very visual medium kind of guy. But, with that said, I always thought that the original 2000 was perfect. I got the shirt, I got the steelbook, I fucking love the original one. Christian Bale nailed it. It came out in a time where, I don't even know, it came out in the year 2000, 2001, and it was perfect. It was hated at the time. It was completely hated. Critics hated it, but Christian Bale is perfect in the role, right? It was directed by Mary Herron, who did it. She did a great job, and it's the only movie where Bret Easton Ellis, the writer of this movie, actually said it's actually better than the book that he wrote. So why you would want to remake this movie all these years later, when you know you can't do it justice, when you know it's during a climate out there where, if you try to make this movie now, it just wouldn't work. But, money. As anyone who knows me knows, I love American Psycho. I used to watch it in my college dorm all the time with my buddies. We used to actually bring girls over and see how long they can make it into the movie without being freaked out. I don't know why we did this. It was amusing at the time. Typically around the part where you get to the part with the dog is when they would be like, I have to go. But it would always be funny, and we had fun. But with that said, do we need a remake all these years later? Absolutely not. But they are making it, and they just announced that Austin Butler, Elvis himself, is going to be playing the titular role, Patrick Bateman. Personally, in my opinion, I think Christian Bale did a fantastic job back in 2000. You don't have to remake this movie. It wasn't a critical success when it came out back then. It found a cult following later. Legacy reboots usually suck. I don't know why they're doing this. Mary Herron, who directed the original film, I think she did a fantastic job with Christian Bale. Leave it alone. I don't know if you've ever read the original novel by Bret Easton Ellis. It's not an easy read. It's a tough read. Mainly because, and it's done this way by purpose, it's basically Patrick narrating, and there is so much dictation of different types of fashion and brands and restaurants and attention to detail, because essentially, in a nutshell, the commentary is about excess, about how superficial people were back in the 80s and how they tried to be perfect and all that crap, and they were very superficial, and it was all about these rich white motherfuckers, and that was the joke. That was the commentary on it. So, it's a very tough read by design. It kind of punishes the reader, but the book did something kind of special. They took all the best elements and they condensed it down to a 90-minute movie, and it's great. Christian Bale kind of elevates it. You get to kill off Jared Leto. Everybody loves that. I mean, what's not to like? Christian Bale went on to go be Batman, so you can watch this and kind of imagine in your own headcanon that this is Bruce Wayne before he became Batman. It's a good time. It's a great time. Why mess with it? But they are, and Austin Butler is going to be the lead. Yeah. So I asked myself, John, why are they doing this? Why is Lionsgate doing this? And then I went, well, does Lionsgate have a good track record making horror movies? And this is what I found. Lionsgate has previously made the following films: Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, High Tension, The Cabin in the Woods, good movie, Green Room, also good movie, Frailty, fantastic movie, Shadow of the Vampire, which, if you're excited for Nosferatu, also has Willem Dafoe, only he's playing Olok. Go check it out. Good movie. Also got John Malkovich. Decent movie, not fantastic, but it's a good watch. And, you guessed it, the original American Psycho. So essentially, it is their crown jewel, right? It is their baby. It is the one IP, or one of the IPs, that they look at and go, yeah, we can get some of that Halloween Ends money. We can reboot this motherfucker. But why do it? Why? I mean, outside of money, right? I mean, just, it's a good movie. There's no reason to do it. But I get it, you know? And look, I don't hate Lionsgate. You know, for every bad Kevin Smith movie they put out, they did make the John Wick movies. So I'm like, look, they're not a bad studio. I've seen some pretty decent movies come out of it, but this does feel like a cash grab. And I don't know why they're doing this. With that said, they are doing it. I've made peace with it. I will always have a special place in my heart for Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale, right? If I had to pick an actor, I thought about this for a minute. It's not an easy thing to do because you need somebody who is young enough, scary enough, and good-looking enough, right? You need like a 28-year-old actor. And when you start thinking about actors who can play the part, it's kind of tough. You know, go online and just type in like the most popular actors that are like 25 to 30, and you're gonna get a lot of crap. Not crap, but like nothing that screams like, yeah, I bet they'd be great as Patrick Bateman. You know, and God help me, if we have to get one more fucking Timothée Chalamet movie, I'm gonna go walk into traffic. I can't stand this guy. I don't hate him. I just don't see what the big deal is about him. You know, it's like, oh, he's got a Bob Dylan movie coming out. Oh, I can't wait for that shit. I don't care. You know, him, Zendaya, Tom Holland. So, with that said, when I was thinking about like who could play Patrick Bateman in that age bracket, for a minute I was like, maybe Mason Gooding, and I'm like, no, there's no way you can do this movie with a... I'm sorry to say. I mean, you could fudge the facts, but I'm like, there's no black characters in American Psycho. Like, the point of it is that they are racist and they are kind of shitty people, and they're stockbrokers in the 80s. I mean, I guess you could do whatever you want. But, like, it could work. Mason Gooding was one idea. And then I thought maybe Kyle Gallner. He was pretty good. The guy who was also in Scream, but he was in Dinner in America. He was in that Smile movie. He's got a great opening in Smile too. Great up-and-coming actor, but he's kind of too old. I think he's like 38. And Patrick Bateman's supposed to be like 27, 28. So, having seen Dune 2, and that's all I have really to go off of at this point, I do think that Austin Butler is a pretty decent pick. I mean, if you have to do it, you could do worse. He's 33 years old, so the age is okay. He can be intimidating. I hope he doesn't do that god-awful Elvis voice that he does in interviews. I mean, he's been doing it ever since the movie. I don't get it. I don't understand why. Funny enough, Christian Bale has, for years, done an American accent whenever he's doing an American part because he wants to keep the continuity with the audience to be like, hey, this is me in the movie, this is me in the interviews for the press, and I love that. But doing Elvis, just so that people go, oh yeah, he played Elvis, has always been dumb to me, and I hate it. And I don't think he's going to do it, because he didn't do it in Dune, but I really hope he's not like, no, I gotta return some videotapes, baby. Because that would be awful. I don't want that. But if you had to do somebody, fine. I don't know. And then I was like, well, who's the director of this movie? Maybe if we have a great director, maybe that can kind of save it. And it's being directed by Luca Guadagnino. Sorry, I mean, that name's a nightmare. You know what? He's a Gigante now. Luca Gigante. Good enough. Don't care. Ship it. But yeah, I'm looking at the director. He made Call Me By Your Name. He made the Suspiria remake, which I hear is good. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Challengers. Bones and All. Bones and All is the one that I liked. Which, funny enough, has Timothée Chalamet. That one was pretty good. It's a movie about, I don't want to spoil it, but it kind of has like this like cannibal horror drama vibe to it. It's actually a pretty solid watch. I only watched it the one time, but I enjoyed it. So, you know, he might bring a different flavor to it. Like Mike said, it's gonna be kind of gay. But maybe not. I mean, the problem I have with that is that like Patrick Bateman is not a gay character, and the director's gay too. Not that it matters, but like Patrick Bateman doesn't feel anything. If you watch the movie or read the book, he's got two primary emotions, and it's greed and disgust. You know, you got one scene, it's kind of funny, because he's fighting with, clearly the guy does not like homosexuals. It's the 80s. There's one scene where he's about to strangle one of the characters in the bathroom, and the guy thinks that he's coming on to him. And the next scene, he's so grossed out by it all that it's a satire, mind you. He's like washing his gloves in the sink, and you're like, dude, come on. So like the idea of him now being like, I don't know. I hope they don't go down that messaging, that preachy, like, you know what I'm getting at. The wokeness of it all. I hope that they don't do that. Personally, I don't think this movie needs to be made, but if you're gonna go down that avenue, don't fuck it up. You know, John Campea, you know, I think he's kind of an asshole, but I don't know, he said something to the effect of like, no remake can hurt the original. And I completely disagree with that statement. Every time you talk about a movie that's been rebooted or remade, talk about it with a buddy, it always goes down like this, right? It's like, hey, remember that American Psycho movie? Yeah, man, that movie was great. Until they made the remake. Yeah, that one kind of sucked. You can say that about pretty much most reboots these days, from Ghostbusters to Texas Chainsaw to some people don't like the Scream movies. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I actually don't remember the ones that Beetlejuice. People enjoyed it, but nobody says it's actually better. You know, all those terrible Terminator sequels, Dark Fate, shit like that. You don't need them. You just don't. Predator. My God, those Predator remakes were rough. But yeah, going back to Patrick, it's like even with Reese Witherspoon, like that was entirely for show. He didn't love Reese Witherspoon. It was just about fitting in. He even says it, because I want to fit in. And all the other girls, from like the one he has the affair with to the one that the prostitutes, all that, that's all about power. It has nothing to do with I like these girls, I like that. So the idea of doing anything like that just seems kind of like And I don't know. I mean, if you can't, there's no good angle, right? Because like, look at it this way: you can do what I think they're gonna do, what Mike thinks they're gonna do, and you're gonna go, all right, right? Or you can do a complete remake, almost shot for shot, Gus Van Sant style, like for Psycho. You can remake the one from 2001 or 2000, and then you're gonna go, well, what was the point? Or you can adapt it more closely to the book, which I've heard is what they might be doing. But like I said, the book is a fucking nightmare, so why bother? If you're gonna go down that road, this is what I would recommend. There's a movie that I love that came out in the 90s called The Talented Mr. Ripley. And that character was very coded to be gay. There's no secret about it. But they weren't preachy about it. It was just there in the story. And again, I don't even want this. I don't want the remake. I don't want Patrick Bateman to be bi or gay or any of that shit. Make new characters. It's fine. You don't have to redo every single thing just because it makes money. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. You know, I don't want to be preachy. And I don't care. If you want to make Patrick Bateman gay, go for it. But you better tell a good story with good character arcs. That's all I'm going to say. For 15 years now, we've all said the same thing. We want good stories. Pay your writers. Pay your actors. Pay whoever you have to pay. Stop gaslighting us and telling us that we're bigots because we didn't like it, because you didn't bother. Because the reality is, we just want something that resonates. We want well-developed characters. And I don't know, man, like, I guess it just gets old. Like, Tom Hanks in Philadelphia was a fantastic movie. But once you've seen that movie, you kind of seen them all a little bit, or it just becomes old hat, and it just seems like a thing that people are now hiding behind when they make shit movies. They just say, oh, well, you didn't like it because you're this and you're that. No. But it does feel more or less like a cash grab. That's all I'm saying. It feels like Lionsgate is just grabbing at anything to make some extra money. With that said, I am going to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. I am going to be there on opening night. I love American Psycho. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to keep an open mind. I want to be wrong. I want to fit in. No, I want it to be good. I really want to be good. If they send me a press screening, which I believe they will, press invite, I will be there. I will review it. I'll make an ending video. I'll do a contrast to compare. I'm going to give this movie every benefit of the doubt. It's just the bad track record that Hollywood seems to have that gives me and everybody else the same reservation of, please, don't screw this up. That is all. That's all I gotta say. You know, I think everybody has the same notion of, I want new ideas. You know, make a new serial killer. You know, adapt a different book by Bret Easton Ellis. You know, there used to be a time in the 80s and 90s, back when movies were good, when you had like John Grisham books or Stephen King books, and you know, people used to read more back then. And if you put the author's name on the screen, that was enough to sell a movie based on the novel by so-and-so. We don't do that anymore. We just copy and paste the same crap again and again and again. But hey, you know, they already made an American Psycho 2 a couple years ago, like 10, 20 years ago, or whatever it was. Mila Kunis was in it. I think it went straight to video. Nobody liked it. William Shatner's in there. Christian Bale, I think they tried to get him for like a cameo. They couldn't do it. They got a really awkward fill-in. And it's a bad movie. But because that went straight to video, nobody talks about it. Nobody remembers it. If you are looking for something to watch as a spiritual sequel to the original American Psycho, then may I recommend a movie called to you, The Rules of Attraction. Came out in 2002, has James Van Der Beek, who plays Patrick Bateman's younger brother Sean, and he's just as crazy and nuts as Patrick Bateman, only you know, it takes place at a college. But he does some pretty messed up stuff. The movie also has Jessica Biel, that guy from Lost, Jay Baruchel, the How to Train Your Dragon guy, Kate Bosworth, Eric Stoltz, and the chick from A Knight's Tale. So if you want to see some like WB actors who are like very pristine and clean get their hands dirty by playing these offbeat, soon-to-be criminal types, it's a good time. And you know, that movie is very sexual, and you know, you got characters that are bi and gay and all that stuff, but it doesn't have any of that preachiness or that annoying Hollywood, we didn't bother trying. The characters are fleshed out and complex, and that's what you need to do in a movie. That's how you put butts in seats. That's how you get people talking about it. That's how you make a movie that's not just a hollow cash grab. But yeah, it's a solid flick. Fun fact, they actually tried to get Christian Bale to come back for The Rules of Attraction because they wanted to have him in the scene where Van Der Beek calls his brother, and Christian Bale was like, nah fam, I'm good. I was part of a great movie. I know it was unique. I know some people hated it, but I know I was part of something special. And he was like, I ain't doing it. You know, and I respect him for not doing it. But with that said, it's a fun watch. It's a little bleak. It's a little nihilistic. It's a little dark. It's not something you should watch with your kiddies. It's got some pretty intense language in there and some stuff that's going on that, like, don't watch it with mom or grandma. I'll say that much. It's one you watch alone in the dark, maybe with a +1, because there is some sexual stuff in there that's like, if you watch it with the wrong person, you're like, this is kind of rough. And like I said, it's a bit nihilistic, but if you like that, if you like really dark humor, kind of like the original American Psycho, you wouldn't watch that with mixed company either, but I think it's worth checking out. It's called The Rules of Attraction, came out in 2002, and yeah, I would say that's your homework for the weekend. Go check that out. It's a fun time. Watching James Van Der Beek be a psycho is a really fun time. With that said, let me know your thoughts. Are you excited for Austin Butler? Who would you cast in this movie if you didn't put Austin Butler? Comment down below. I'd love to know what you think about this. Until next time, guys, hey Hamilton, have a holly jolly Christmas, and I'll see you next time.